Welcome everybody to update number 74. So I know it's only a little over a month since we did the last one back in March, but there was a lot of spring sales on that kind of tempted me to buy some stuff. So yeah, that's where most of what we're going to look at today is from. It's from sales, although there are a couple of releases that aren't part of that. So we'll take a look at those first. So I got from Eureka a pair of films in a double limited edition that came out in 2025. So it is the Exact Revenge double release. So it's got the Eunuch and the Deadly Knives. Yet to see them, but yeah, I figured since they were going out of stock, uh, there were only a few available, and I didn't really want to miss out on potentially a couple of films that I'd enjoy. And since obviously I am into my martial arts films and such, I figured I'd finally get hold of both of these. So yeah, that's all through from Eureka. Not yet seen them, but one film I have seen, and I came across this because in my attempt to researching film masters for that big video that I did on Film Masters with several of their releases that I've bought in the past in preparation for one of their new releases, I came across the fact that Film Detective have had a film that I really enjoyed, particularly because there's an actor in it that I love a great many films from. So it is 19, I believe, 59's The Bat, starring Vincent Price. So yeah, this is from the Film Detective. Again, not sure if they're an original company before they've merged into Film Masters or became Film Masters or not. But regardless, yeah, really enjoy this film. No idea if this the Blu-ray limited edition is much good, but it's got special features on the disc. It's got a booklet with it as well. So yeah, it's clearly had some work done to it, but whether or not it's gonna look good or not, I'll have to find out. But yeah, gonna save this until until it comes to October for the spooky season. So I'll probably do a review of that in during that month. And yeah, we also have a couple of films from Indicator. They also had quite a large sale on. I did have several in my basket from them, but I figured, you know, still kind of recuperating from Christmas and partly Easter, I'd rein in a couple of them. So yeah, I only got two. First of which is from a director I've seen several films from before and enjoyed, and that is Joseph von Sternberg, and it is An American Tragedy. So not seen this one yet, but it's got a decent looking cast, and yeah, I've heard really rather good things from this before. And again, being a limited edition, it's got a booklet and such, as you can see. So yeah, really looking forward to watching that one since I've enjoyed great many of von Sternberg's films before. And then a film I have seen now, although I didn't see it before buying it, so it was a blind buy. Peter Ibbotson. So yeah, really good cast of Gary Cooper and Harding, as well as Ida Lupino and John Halliday in supporting roles. Yeah, a really enjoyable film. A really effective mix between the fantasy and drama genres, while a whole heaping of a romance in there as well. Starts off quite ordinary as far as romance dramas goes, but the final act or so has a quite a heavy fantasy element to it, and yeah, it really works. And again, got a nice booklet going on there as well. As per usual, when it comes to these update videos, if you'd like to see a review of any of these films, then yeah, just leave a comment. And finally, I came across a site called Movie Zing. I was put onto them from another fellow YouTuber, um, and they had quite a lot of the Warner Brothers Archive Collection releases on sale. I think it was 4 films for $54. No idea what that works out to in pound sterling, but regardless, yeah, I bought 16 of their releases. As yeah, there were a great many that I have wanted to see before uh, and own, so that's partly why. But there was also three there that I have seen in the past that I've greatly enjoyed and wanted to own as well. Now, I wouldn't have bothered with these if the Warner Brothers Archive Collection had continued in the UK, because they were obviously putting out a lot of films that I enjoyed in that format, but for whatever reason, they've stopped doing that now. So yeah, there was no real risk that these are going to come out anytime soon in a limited edition version or a UK release. So, firstly, we'll look at the three that I've seen before, and then we'll look at the rest after that. So, yeah, firstly, we've got The World, The Flesh, and The Devil. So, you've got a really good cast there of Harry Belafonte, Inga Stevens, and Mel Ferrara. And yeah, this is a really, really good, post-apocalyptic kind of film. Basically, the only three people left on the Earth. Not something we haven't seen before, obviously. We've got The Last Man on Earth as well, and then there'd be likes of the Omega Man and I Am Legend and such. I think all three of them actually come from the same kind of source material. But regardless, yeah, it's nothing we've not seen before. But yeah, it is a really, really solid film and one of my favorite 50s sci-fi films, which is what these three that I've seen before all have in common. Secondly, we have World Without End. So again, another post-apocalyptic sci-fi film from the 50s. Um, yeah, it kind of feels a little bit similar to Planet of the Apes, to be honest, because um, after completing a successful first mission to Mars, only to run afoul of a warp in space. Tossed centuries into the future, they discover an Earth devastated by nuclear war where mutant beastmen rule the surface. So, somewhat similar to Planet of the Apes, to be honest. But still, really looks good in CinemaScope, and yeah, overall a really entertaining film. Definitely one of my favourites from in terms of these kind of films from that period. And finally, in terms of the ones I've seen, not a film that is great by any stretch of the imagination, which is much like a lot of the other films from the director, who is Bert I. Gordon, who again we'll be talking about sometime in the future with the Eureka release of Empire of the Ants, Empire of the Ants, I think. And it is The Cyclops. So not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but still a fairly decent one. I think I gave it 2.5 out of 5, so right around about average in terms of the score. But yeah, it's still enjoyable enough regardless. And as I've said in the past, if you are well versed in 1950 sci-fi, then you will enjoy a film like this, regardless of its issues. So yeah, those are the ones I've seen before from Warner Brothers Archive collections. Now let's take a look at all of the ones that I haven't seen before. So we've got a mix here of horror, blaxploitation, more sci-fi films. One of which is from the 50s, and yeah, kind of generalized kind of films outside of that. So firstly, we've got The Walking Dead with Boris Karloff. Genuinely surprised I've not seen this sooner because I'm a big fan of Boris Karloff. Who else is in it? No one I'm immediately recognizing, but still, it is directed by Michael Curtis, who I've seen several films from before and enjoyed. So, yeah, really looking forward to that one. And there is the disc itself. So that will also be saved for Halloween, like the bat. And then we also have a 1940s horror film. This one has got Peter Lorre in it, as well as J. Carroll Naish. I think I've seen something from him before. Screenplay is also by Kurt Siodmak, who we've talked about in the past as well. But I don't think I've seen anything from the director, Robert Florey, before. But it is The Beast with Five Fingers. So 1946, I believe. But yeah, still looking forward to seeing this one, especially with that cast. And then we have a blaxploitation effort in the form of Black Belt Jones. So it's got Jim Dragon Kelly. He clobbers the mob as Black Belt Jones. So I don't think I've seen anything from him before. But it is directed by Robert Cluse, who I believe I've seen stuff from before. And you've also got Scatman Carruthers in this and Gloria Hendry in it as well. So fairly decent cast. Gloria Hendry obviously being the first ever non-white, no, first ever black Bond girl in a James Bond film. I was going to say non-white, but then I realised that obviously You Only Live Twice came out before it. So yeah, but still, she's always been good in films. To be honest, I've seen her in a couple of other blaxploitation efforts in the past, and yeah, she's always a reliable actress. And then we have another blaxploitation effort in the form of Melinda. So yeah, I don't think I've seen much from those involved in this one. It seems like a fairly unknown effort, to be honest. Not really. No one in terms of the cast really is striking up any memories, to be honest. But still, I'm a big fan of blaxploitation films. You know, I bought those two 4K box sets. I think from is it Shout Factory or Screen Factory, one or the other. And yeah, they were really really great. And another one in the same genre, we have Black Samson. Uh, Again, doesn't look like there's many people involved in this that I've heard of before, but again, you know, always willing to give, you know, actors and directors and the like that I've never heard of before a shot. You know, there's no harm in that one as well. Apparently, he's every brother's friend and every mother's enemy. So yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of violence and b probably a lot of nudity and sex as well. And then another black exploitation effort. This one does have people I've heard of before. So we do have the likes of Jim Brown in this, Fred Williamson, and Jim Kelly's also in this one. So this must have been after was it Black Belt Jones? I think it was. And it is Free the Hard Way. So yeah, quite a stacked cast. Not noticing anyone else in terms of the cast, but it is directed by Gordon Parks Jr., who I do believe I've seen stuff from before. Yeah, he did Superfly, it says on the back here. So, yeah, and this has apparently had a 4K scan of the original camera negative as well. A lot of these films, though, don't have much in the way of extras. A lot of them, and these ones in particular, have only the original theatrical trailer. I think there's a couple here as well that don't even have that. So, yeah, that's the kind of case that I've gotten used to when it comes to these Warner Brothers Archive Collection releases. But at the end of the day, it's about the film more than anything else. So, yeah. And speaking of which, we got another 1950 sci-fi film, Queen of Outer Space, starring Zsa Zsa Gabor, and but she's the only one I think I've heard of before. But it's in color and it's in CinemaScope as well, so might well be a bit higher in terms of budget and production value than he's used to for these kind of films. But I don't think I've heard of anyone else involved in it, so yeah, who knows? You can never tell with 50 sci-fi films because they'll always have great posters like that and such, but that is never always going to be the way that the film looks. And then we have another 1930s horror film, I believe. I think it's 1930s. It's a shame that they don't really have the year on the back of these. Oh yeah, 1936. So yeah, and it stars Lionel Barrymore, and it is The Devil Doll. So apparently this is being ranked alongside The Lost World, King Kong, and The Invisible Man in terms of camera wizardry. So yeah, looking forward to it in that regard. I think it's got Maureen O'Sullivan and Frank Lawton. I think I've seen stuff from there before, but it's also directed by Todd Browning, who also did the original Dracula as well as Freaks. So I think he did those two. So yeah, pretty sure I've seen stuff from him before. So again, I'm looking forward to that one, especially since I do like my horror films from that period. Then we also have a film that I'm not sure what genre it is. I think it is a war film. Kind of looks like it. But regardless, it is Dark of the Sun. So you've got Rod Taylor in it and Jim Brown. You've got a audio commentary and theatrical trailer on there as well. And yeah, only 100 minutes long. It looks like on the back at least that there's a fair bit of action there. So yeah, looking forward to this one. I'm not sure when that was released. 1968. So right around the time of Lights of Where Eagles Dare and such. So apparently the film's violence is fierce, unforgiving, and ahead of its time. So yeah, since it's right around the time of the Wild Bunch, I'm expecting some great deal of violence there in that one. Then for something completely different, we have from 1936 again, like The Devil Doll. But unlike The Devil Doll, this is a musical romance film, and it is San Francisco. Apparently, it does have quite a extravagant, earthquake scene because it is set in San Francisco during the early 1900s when they had that great earthquake in that period. I can't remember the year it was from when it happened, 1906, 1907, one of those years, I think. But yeah, apparently the effects for that are quite great. And you got a good cast as well. You got Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy. So really looking forward to seeing that one. Even though it does have, a musical element to it, I believe it will be more of the old school style, like the Court Jester was, where yes, it's got musical elements to it, but they're not overbearing and they're not overstuffed in terms of the narrative as well, and not overriding the plot in general. And then a slightly more modern sci-fi film, being from 1971, so not quite in the 1950s, and it is Earth 2. So yeah, not sure entirely about this one. I believe I've put this on my list purely because apparently the miniature work on this is excellent. So yeah, main reason for getting it, and I know that's not much of a reason to get it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's all it's gonna have when watching it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that one. Second to last, we have The Sea Chase with John Wayne and Lana Turner. So this is actually him playing a different kind of role in the fact that he's actually German during, I think it's World War Two. Yeah, World War Two. But even though he's a German naval officer, he does hate Hitler and the regime at the time and such. So, yeah, playing a little bit of a role there. But it does sound interesting in the fact that they basically are being chased down on the high seas by not just I think they're being chased by the Germans and by the Americans at the same time, or one of the or no, the British or the Germans. So yeah, sounds fairly interesting to be honest. Although I don't believe there are any extras on that one, which, like I said, is not all that uncommon. And lastly, we have another black exploitation film, and it is Hitman. So this stars Pamela Greer. So Pam obviously should become known as Pam Greer later in her career, but this was 1972, so I think it is before Foxy Brown and Coffee and the like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing an earlier role from her. And directed and written by George Armitage, who I believe I've seen stuff from before, but don't believe I've seen anything from the lead actor Bernie Casey though. So yeah, but still, it is apparently a remake of Get Carter, but through the lens of the black exploitation genre. So that alone is something like something that's well worth seeing. And yeah, that is everything. So obviously we don't have, in the grand scheme of things, a huge amount of releases here. Um, Obviously, I think there was 16 of the Warner Brothers Archive Collection releases. We had the one Eureka release, but that did have two films. We had the Bat from the Film Detective and the two Indicator releases. So that's what, 22, 21, or something like that. But regardless, yeah, obviously no major limited edition releases here, no box sets or the like either. But yeah, really pleased with what I got, and I really am looking forward to going through all of those Warner Brothers Archive Collection releases that I've not seen before, and hell, even maybe revisiting the three that I have. But still, yeah, really, really pleased with what I got lately. Again, though, I don't think there's going to be much in the way of sales up until probably summertime. So maybe that'll be next when there'll be a new update video. But regardless, yeah, really pleased with what I got. Obviously, we have plenty of new releases coming up, and in terms of from other labels, I think I have 28 years later the Bone Temple coming on Steelbook 4K as well. So got that to look forward to as well. But yeah, plenty more to releases coming up that we're really looking forward to as well. That's from Arrow Video and Eureka and Radiant. So yeah, this is a big update video in sense of sheer number of films, but in terms of limited editions, we are obviously ironically quite limited. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you've seen any of these films before, let's hear your thoughts on them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.